Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Good Dram Show with me, Chris Goodrum. Right, okay, after a bit of a diversion, should we say, I think it's about time we got back to looking at whiskey. I've done a few tequila and rum and what have you tastings and gin. Well, no, I didn't do gin, did vodka. But I think it's about time we got back to looking at whiskey. So, right, this afternoon. For this little tasting, we're looking at Glenglassaugh. Now, grabbing the book, I'll give you a bit of a potted history of Glenglassaugh. It was founded in 1875, and like a lot of these distilleries, it's it has a bit of a checkered past. It seems to have probably spent more time closed than it actually has in production. Certainly, it was closed in 1908, reopening in 1931, closed again in 1936, reopened again in 1960, and so you can see it's well, I wouldn't say it's an unloved distillery. I mean, I personally I love the spirit that Glenglassaugh is producing. Personally, I find it for such a young spirit, it's one of the few really interesting young spirits that it's pleasant to drink. Certainly, in 2008, it was bought by a private investment company, or a company formed of private investors, which I believe were Dutch or predominantly Dutch, and started production again. This year, actually, it's been sold once again. It's been sold to Ben Ryack. Why it was sold, I have no idea. But I guess the offer was too good to turn down. So it has a capacity of 1.1 million litres, but I believe at the moment it's only producing around about 200,000 litres. So a fraction of what it's capable of distilling. And I imagine that. Ben Ryack will probably look to push that a bit harder, but hopefully that won't be to the detriment of the spirit. Once it was taken over, they made an obvious decision to, like a lot of distilleries, to release new make spirit, which they did. I believe they call it, what was the spirit drink that has dare not speak its name or something like that, which for new make spirit was actually really drinkable. And the thing I liked about sort of Glenglassaugh spirit was that it had a lovely sweetness to it. They released a couple of others. They did the peated new make. They also did one that was, I think it was finished in some wine casks. Again, it was really nice. For it's like a lot of these sort of started up distilleries, or sort of reopened distilleries, they have quite a cult following, and certainly I think Glenglassaugh kind of like falls into that category. So yeah, interesting distillery. That's probably about enough of the waffle. So let's take a look at this afternoon's lineup then, shall we? Right, okay, so the first one we're looking at this afternoon is called The Revival. It was released I think a year or two back now. 3-year-old spirit, bottled at 46%, aged in a combination of American oak and sherry casks. The second one we're looking at is the brand new bottling. Well, I say brand new for this year. So brand new, I haven't actually got any stock in yet, but I will be doing so. I think that basically tells you that I think this is pretty good. It's called Evolution, Evolution of the Spirit. Bottled at 57.2%, and I think, if memory serves me correct, all American oak aged. Maker's Mark? I think it was Maker's Mark, or certainly it was one of the, might have been Buffalo Trace casks. This is the big jump up in age statement now. This is the 37-year-old, bottled at 58.9%. And finally, the 43-year-old, distilled in 1967, the year I was born, I hasten to add, bottled at 40.4%. Now, you'll probably notice that I'm not tasting the 26-year-old, which is their flagship bottling, and which seems to sort of get plaudits from everyone and their mother. And I personally has not done it for me. You know, it's an odd bottling. It doesn't work particularly well. A bit spirity, but you know, that aside, the rest of the range is pretty damn good. So you know, you can check out my my tasting notes on my WordPress blog for further reading. But I think that's enough of that. I think it's about time to crack on and start with this one. Right, okay, so let's kick off this with the revival. Like I said, 3 years old, aged in a combination of American oak and sherry casks. Let's see what this one gives us. Crisp, clean, quite sweet and floral. The sherry oak is adding a sort of sweet dried fruits, bit of toffee, a little bit of walnut, and the spirit has got that lovely sort of slightly cereally, really nice sweetness. Bit of chocolatey notes, a bit of like sort of dusty cocoa powder. I mean, yes, it's youthful. It's got that sort of slightly, not vegetal, but kind of a greenness to it. But it's really appealing. It's really nice. It's certainly not sort of like spirity. It's not sort of hard work. I mean, for a 3-year-old malt, it's really good. Power time. Oh, that's a hit. Finish does dry up a little bit, but the aftertaste is absolutely lovely. It's that sort of dried, walnutty, dried fruit kind of sherry character. The spirit, like I said, has got a lovely sweetness to it. A little bit of sort of green fruit, apple, bit of barley, bit of malt. I mean, that's really enjoyable. It's really elegant. It's delicate, but it's certainly got depth. For such a young spirit, that's really impressive. Yeah, sort of little bit of chocolatey sort of coffee note kind of coming through on the finish, but yeah, I think that's a really impressive whiskey, and like that. Right, okay, let's take a look at the brand new bottling, the revival, the evolution. Sorry, not the revival. Like I said, bottled at 57.2%. So let's see what the nose gives us on this. Whoa, that's an intense nose. Lots and lots of green fruit, green apple, bit of cucumber, leafy herbs, real intensity to it. Again, it's got a sort of quite a nice sweetness, and the American oak is kind of sitting sort of beneath all of that and just kind of supporting and adding a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of sort of sweet vanilla. But that spirit is just really intense, really clean. It's got a, like I said, it's got a very, very kind of cucumbery, sort of greeny, kind of appley, almost agave kind of fruit to it. Coming back to this kind of tequila thing, you know. I've obviously been tasting far too much tequila. I'm just picking that up in too many young spirits. But yeah, it's lovely. Really intense. Power. that's good spirit. Like the nose, it's got a lot of sort of fresh green fruits, green apples, but it's got a little bit of sort of like unsweetened pineapple, apricot, bit drying on the finish, but I mean obviously that's the kind of cask strength bottling. But the American oak is kind of underpinning it with a little bit of creaminess, and it's got some really nice structure to it. That's really intense, really crisp, quite granity now. Classic sort of Highland malt kind of character coming through, with that sort of like, you know, like I said, stony granity intensity. Yeah, that's really impressive, really nice. Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's very good. Right, I was really well prepared for this. I forgot the little jug of water. So let's see what putting a little drop of water will do to this then. Oh, that is beautiful. Brings out the oak. Brings out that sort of unsweetened pineapple. A lot of fruity esters coming out now. Oh, it's just banana, apricot. Got a lovely fruit sweetness to it. Bringing out some oak as well, some sweet oak. But that green fruit is still there. That sort of like appley, cucumbery, herbal. Oh, that is absolutely gorgeous. Lovely sweetness. Very fruity. Really impressive. Palate is probably, obviously not quite as intense, a bit more sweeter now with the addition of water. Getting that sort of banana-y, pineapple-y, citrus, a lot more creamy sweet oak, certainly on the finish. No real bitterness to the oak, very soft, very long. Either with or without water, that is a really nice dram. Love that. That is very good. Right, okay, let's have a look at the 37-year-old. Obviously, this was distilled way before either of the present owners, or the present owners and the previous owners, should we say, purchased the distillery. So let's see what Old Glenglassaugh is like then, shall we? Definitely one to savour. Lovely, mature American oak, sawdusty, honey, a little bit of toffee. But still it has that kind of fresh, slightly green character to it. Green apples, but again you've got sort of like dusty spices, apricot in syrup, a little bit of lime or lemon sort of conserve. Oh, it's just absolutely stunning. And sort of some really nice herbal character to it. And it's still really fresh. I mean, after sort of 30 odd years in the cask, and it still retains this freshness to it. It's really impressive. A little bit of cocoa possibly. That's gorgeous. That is stunning. That is a stunning old malt. That's all you can say. It's just like, oh, that's good. About time. It's lovely. Really, let's talk about this, I suppose. Sweet, sawdusty, vanilla-y oak, fresh, crisp spirit, really granity, really intense. Pepper, a load of pepper on the aftertaste, a little bit of spice. That is just frighteningly good. I mean, it's just so youthful and intense and fresh. Yet that's 30 odd years old. I mean, that is just so impressive. Really long, really juicy. Like I said, it's got that sort of lovely fruit character, a little bit of sort of pineapple, banana, old banana, macerated apricot, a bit of apple, a little bit of sort of chocolatey coffee maybe on the finish. Really long, really impressive. I mean, yeah, 58.9. I mean, that's quite an impressive ABV, I guess, for sort of something of this kind of age. But the spices on the finish, oh, unbelievably good. A little bit of toffee banana now. I will try a little drop of water with it. I mean, it probably doesn't actually need it, but you know, let's just see what a drop of water does to it, shall we? Brings forward the oak. It's a lot of sweet oak now. A little bit of gunflint. But the oak just smells so fresh. Yet, you know, you've got the sawdusty, aged kind of oak element. It's a real interesting balance. I suppose you could argue less of the spirit character now, but it's still definitely there. But if you love old American oak, if you love that sort of sawdusty kind of character, it's like heaven, absolutely heaven. Bit of wood smoke. Yeah, this is the sort of thing that I just could smell absolutely all day. I just keep sticking my nose in the glass and going, oh, that's good. But, palate. Softer, lighter, possibly a tad less complex once you stick some water with it. Finish is really peppery still, and again it's that sort of less oak but more of that kind of crisp, kind of appley, green fruit spirit. A little bit short now, but you know, certainly the oak is kind of coming through on the finish again, sort of like really nicely sawdusty. I mean, personally, I think I would prefer to drink that neat. I mean, although the alcohol does kind of like come through on the finish when you drink it neat, but it just has that sort of like intensity. But oh, that is good. Right, okay, and let's take a look at the 43-year-old. It's always interesting to drink something as old as you are. Admittedly, I'm a bit older than 43 now because this was bottled about 3 years ago. But anyway, let's stick my nose in the glass. Oh, that's ancient sherry. Dry, dusty, spicy. But again, that freshness from the malt is just coming through. It's got walnuts, dried toffee, but again sort of like a bit of sort of stewed apple, citrus, fleshy fruits, bit of raisin. That's absolutely stunning. Gorgeous. I just love noses like this. I mean, you know, as you know, I am not the world's biggest lover of sherry aged malt, but I mean, this is just absolutely stunning. This is textbook old sherry cask whiskey. Still got that freshness, which kind of balances sort of like the aged sherry notes. Oh, so spicy with that sort of dusty herbal kind of spice notes. You know, it's just like, oh, absolutely gorgeous. I love that. That is absolutely fantastic. Power. Oh, it just glides. Nectar. Dates, walnuts, slightly bit of licorice, bit of toffee, or sort of caramelly, not caramelly, treacly toffee. It's so gentle. It's got some elegant spices. It's long. Again, the finish is that sort of slight green fruit, which is just amazing considering how old it is. I mean, my God, if I was that good at the 43, I mean, oh, that is just unbelievable. Spicy, juicy dates, walnuts. That's just absolute heaven. I mean, that is gorgeous. No need for water with that one at all. Bit of chocolatey coffee on the aftertaste, but the length on that is just absolutely superb. I mean, stunning, absolutely stunning. I mean, you know, if you love old whiskies, get yourself a bottle of this. I mean, it's only bottled, and we have bottles of it in 5 CLs. They're available on our website www.gauntleys.com. It is not cheap for a 5 CL. I mean, I think it's about, I don't know, 30 something odd pounds. Should have probably checked before I did this, but you know, just buy this. You know, I mean, I know it's expensive for a miniature, but you know, if you love your old whiskies, if you love that sort of elegant, delicate old sherry character, then this is a must buy. Stunning. Right, okay, so let's sum this little tasting up. Fascinating tasting, it has to be said. I mean, I love Glenglassaugh. It is a fantastic distillery. It's a lovely distillery. I'd just like to say a really big thank you to Ronnie, the distillery manager, for sending me these samples, albeit quite a while ago. I finally got around to doing an episode of the show on it, and what can I say? The revival, you know, just lovely. I mean, one of the nicest 3-year-old whiskies you can buy. It's 40 odd quid, you know, it's okay, it's not cheap, but it's good. Really nice. Evolution, it's really nice. Just see sort of like American oak age, young Glenglassaugh, and it just sort of like, you know, it just comes through with all that character, that sort of like green fruit, the sort of cucumber and green apples and spices, you know. It just shows that sort of like, you know, what a class act Glenglassaugh actually is, and the spirit they produce is absolutely gorgeous. The 37-year-old, well, I mean, what can you say? I mean, that is absolutely fantastic. If you love old bourbon aged malt whiskies, you love that sort of sawdusty oak, the sort of like the lovely honeycomb and sort of that kind of stuff, you know, just absolutely gorgeous. And the 43-year-old, well, just heaven, absolutely heaven. Stunning whiskey. You know, buy it. You know, if you love old whiskey, buy this. You know, I can't say anything more than that. I mean, you know, it is just absolutely sublime. It's what sherry cask whiskey should be about. You know, I mean, I dislike, I guess, you know, young sherry cask whiskies, because it just obliterates any character whatsoever. But give it some time. You know, you get the complexity from the aged sherry character, and if you get some distillery character coming through as well, then you know, well, that's sort of like icing on the cake. And this just has it in absolute bucketfuls. It's just brilliant. It's just stunning. And it just goes to show that sort of like Glenglassaugh as a spirit just has this sort of lovely vibrancy, this freshness that just sort of like keeps on going. You know, other whiskies would kind of like fall apart and get all kind of flabby and sort of like, you know, overly woody and that kind of thing. But just Glenglassaugh just has that sort of lovely kind of freshness that just keeps going through till it's sort of like really old. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, I imagine that spirit they could bottle a 50-year-old without a, you know, no problem at all. Probably be outside of my pocket, it has to be said, but you know, fantastic, absolutely stunning. So, like I said, all my tasting notes are on my WordPress blog. You can certainly purchase these two miniatures on our website. You can buy full bottles of the Revival, and shortly you will be able to get that one, the Evolution, which I keep forgetting. Okay. I think that's probably enough for now. So I hope you enjoyed my waffling and this episode of the show. So just enough time to say good dramming and good afternoon.